Well, you can marble on black paper. Did you know? There are a few considerations, however, and I'm about to show you. Hi everyone, welcome to my Shoreline Studio. I'm Sybille Muschik. Behind the camera is Joshua Blanc. I have a couple of examples of marbling on black paper. See how it's just craft paper. This is not archival. You can, black paper is one of those strange papers that are very hard to make acid free. So the best thing to do in that case is to just document, take a print of it with good quality hammer mill copy paper, and then work with that instead. And keep these in a dark place, and they will last for a while. But they do have acid in them, and they will break down eventually. So this is sort of what we're going to be doing. And I've already tested some of my colors here. Now the criteria with black is that your colors are going to have to be so much more intense. Looked at all my paints. We're using all acrylics, and I've added an equal amount of alcohol, just your isopropyl, 70% alcohol. And it evaporates quite rapidly, so you may have to, as you're working along, you might have to add a little bit more so that it will float on your sizing. And we're just using Calgon sizing. I did try a Kappa carrageenan, but you have to warm it, and I still had lots of trouble with it after that, and I just sort of threw my hands up in the air and said, no. So what can you do? Lambda is the carrageenan to use. That's what the professional marblers use. And I was hoping to save a bit of money, but it is all for naught. Anyway, so if you're wanting to do lots of marbling, Lambda is carrageenan is the way to go, and follow the directions for the amount. We're going to just start with a copper. That gives us our base. And I'm just going to do circles, and hopefully we get kind of a flower shape in the end. So now it's doing quite nicely. Let's go to a red. Try and make our center as intense as possible. Now, Calgon is quite goopy, and you have to scrape it off on the side when you take it out. And now one of the considerations is that you want some opaque colors. You don't want any really transparent ones, because it's not going to show up on the black. So anything that's mixed with white, and this one comes from just a craft paint. Often they have lots of white in them, so that's perfect. So this is Paradise Blue. Exotic name. Anyway. So let's try our Paradise Blue here. And it's traveling quite a bit. To rein in an object like this, you can start doing some circles on the side, and you'll see it will control it better. I'm always stirring to keep the particles in suspension. There is a bit of chemistry involved. And that was the trouble with the Kappa carrageenan, was that there's something else, some chemical in it that reacts with the paint. Now, a lot of your acrylic paints have a variety of chemical components. Let's see what other color we can use here. This is my fluorescent fuchsia. It's a Nova color. Oops. Right. I'm going to just keep doing. The more circles you do within circles, the more intense the color, and we want intense color for working on black paper. All right. Now you can see the paint's got a few little blobs in it, but that's okay. So let's try some yellow and stir to combine. I have a little bit of gold here in it as well, so if your sizing is saturated, the color will sink. Well, this yellow is definitely intense. Go back to our bronze. So any of your iridescent or metallic colors work perfectly on black paper. And that's kind of nice. Let's try this sort of turquoisey color, just for some variety. Ooh, and that's traveling really well. The reason that's breaking up is that the white that's suspended in it doesn't like to play nice with marble colors, so I have white, and I'll show you. This is from my Amsterdam white, titanium white. And you can see how it really doesn't want to do much of anything. Let's try a little bit more of this fuchsia color. And generally, with marbling, the colors don't mix and don't break up. If they do, your sizing is probably not correct. So let's try and do something flowery. You can make as many petals as you like. Now our sizing is behaving fairly well. It's reasonably cool in the studio right now, not too hot. And marbling doesn't like it too cold, but neither does it like it too hot. So between 20 and 24 is probably optimum. That's Celsius. Well, that looks pretty good. So I've put some alum, treated it with alum. And so we're just going to place it on. We won't try and do any waves today. I don't think. You never know. But we're just trying to do some flower shapes. So here we are. Now that's pretty spectacular. But you can see the intensity is necessary. Once we scrape it off in here, I just take it to a little pan I have in the sink. That's got a little bit of cold water. I just run it back and forth a little bit and scrape it off again on the sides. And then it's good to go. I hand it off to Josh, who puts it on a towel to dry. So let's try a few more colors. And again, it's that intensity. That's the trick to working with black. You really need that intensity. And that's why our metallic colors come in so handy. So we're just going to start again. Just drop within drop. And eventually you'll see it. And that's, this is yellow oxide, a nice intense yellow. And then we'll brighten it up a little bit more. Now that sort of gives us a nice warm background. Maybe some of the red. The red is pyro red, and this is fluid acrylic. With high flow acrylic like this yellow, you could practically put it in as is. Of course, that's not very economical. So be sure and mix it. Now you need to see the color. And our trick again is to use some kind of metallic color. This is copper. That's a Liquitex color. That's this one. It's a soft body acrylic. Rich copper it's called. Beautiful color. And then let's try our blue. Probably won't show up very much, even with it being on the white end. So it's a tint. If you add white to colors, they call them tints. If you add black to colors, you call them tones. So we've spread out quite a bit, so let's bring it back. Oh, there's been a bit of a glob there. More mixing. You can buy marble colors pre-mixed. Working with acrylic, you can do it yourself and save a whole bundle. Let's try some of that green. And you can see that there's definitely a lot of white. Mixed in and not a lot of color. Let's try some of our silver. Silver is nice. Just leaning these so they don't flop over on me. Okay, back to our violet, our fuchsia. Just trying to get to the point where the colors retreat a little bit. Okay. So just starting from the outside edges, work your way in. And so if your sizing is in good shape, not too thin and not too goopy, you have a fair amount of control. So you can do a swirl thing, and then you can go right back to adding color in. Whoa, it's still spreading quite a bit. Okay, we can rein that in. So you can make quite exotic floral compositions. Okay, I think we're ready to print here. There's my dot in the corner, can you see that? And drop it in. Check for air bubbles. If you leave your paper in too long, some of the alum might mix in, that's on your paper, might mix in with that, which is not a good thing. And you can see, now some of those little extra spots will probably just wash off. They're just sitting on the surface. But you can see you get this really exotic look. Almost like a galaxy or something. So we're doing galaxy, not flowers. So So you're seeing what is showing up and what is not. So, and your metallic colors really sort of save the day when you're working with black. So in the background, I think we're just going to put the blues and the greens. Just so that it will put some pressure on anything you put in the middle. It won't spread too far. Marbled gifts are really quite lovely because if you're giving a card to somebody that's not feeling well, they'll just be amazed by the swirls of color, and especially if there's some metallic in there. So cheer somebody up, do something with marbling, and give them a card. Okay, so just starting with our copper. And I'm not sure that will show up, so but we know the fluorescence. So what I'm going to do with the orange fluorescent, this is acrylic neon orange. We're going to add a little bit more color. I think we have a fair amount of alcohol in there, so let's see if we can intensify the color. You know, it is all sort of a science experiment. And see if it'll show up. All right, what next? Let's try the red. And more fuchsia. The nice thing about you know, doing this is on the black, it doesn't look garish. It has class. If you use those colors anywhere else, you'd just sort of be blinded. But on black, they look fantastic. I'm just going to put a little bit of the green on the outside. And back to this. And some of the yellow. And just go back and forth like this until you're happy with the amount. Maybe back to a bit of bronze. I'm using the silver more as a white than the white, because the white really does break up. And it's just not working very nicely. Okay, now we can draw in here. Now, if you want your flower to have points, you do this thing. More of a dahlia kind of look. And let's print. And make sure there's no air bubbles. And it picks up the paint right away. There's no waiting. Okay, our yellow showed up well. There's our silver. And these little speckles may just wash off, but they're kind of interesting too, so it just gives you a different effect. Okay, into the little vat here. So I've added a little bit of my marbling blue to this one. And I'm just going to put it on the outside edges just to push the other colors in. It probably won't show up in the print. Okay, let's start off with silver. And oh, I'm just going to let it spread. I want to have a nice silvery looking background. Yeah, we can put it on the edges too. Keep our circle shape as much as possible. Some copper. Some red. And I think this needs a little touch more alcohol. A little goes a long way. When you see it getting a little goopy, or should it be a little bit like thin cream if it's, I don't know if goopy is such a great term, but you know what I mean. Sort of starts getting clumpy or something, and that doesn't work. And as I said before, the more times you do the circle thing, the more it intensifies the color, which is exactly what you want with black. Stir lots. We haven't used yellow for a while. There we go. Should we do another bit of silver in the center there? I think so. Okay. Swirl your center. And then let's try for a whole new center. Well, if you've never tried marbling, if you're just started watching us, it is just endless fun. Lots of experimentation. It's always intriguing as to what will happen. So we have a whole series now of marbling videos. Just check out our marbling playlist. And just spend a Sunday or something and binge out on marbling. Endless fun. Now let's hope do something in the center. Oh wait, I did a little much more than I figured. But that's the way it goes. Okay, it's all right. The red is a little bit more in control of itself, I think. Just a touch of silver in the center. And again, same thing. You could probably do this endlessly, but there is a limit to how much paint your marbling size will take. Just roll the center, and you can then pull some of these outside, create a pattern, you know, every other one maybe. And you can, you know, manipulate more there if you want, but I kind of like it the way it is. Okay, so printing, looking for our dot, there it is. And let's see how this one turns out. And, ooh, this is one that's going to be really nice. Oh yes. And there you go. I think that's a good way to finish. Quite well, we're ahead. And we will show these at the end as usual. They have to dry. And thanks so much for joining us today. Be sure and check out all the other marbling videos, as I said. And come and join us here at Shoreline Studio. We have a show every 2 weeks that we're posting, and so much fun, so much experimentation. You'll love it. Bye for now.